Hey everybody, welcome to the Obscure Toy Files. I'm your host as always, Chris/Boggs, and I'm here continuing my RoboCop unboxing review series. Today we're going to take a look at Headhunter from Series 1. He's the leader of the bad guy group known as the Vandals. He's very inexpensive on the secondary market. I think I got him for like $17 cartridge, so they're not really extremely expensive. Some of the original guys, the later series guys, are a bit more pricey. I realized in my last video I made a mistake. Torpedo Thompson and Claw Callahan, and the Robo Command, those came out in 1990. That was the last year for the line, because actually on the figure of the RoboCop that comes with the Robo Command, it has 1990 stamped on his leg, which means that's when it was made. The packaging a lot of times on these toys, it was printed the year before, so it'll say 1989, even though if it came out in 90, or it'll say 88 if it came out in 87, something like that. It's always the way it is. But he's part of the first line. He's the first assortment. And the first assortment really wasn't much going on. I made a camera stand, so I don't have to be shaking it around all the time, because I didn't really like doing it that way. It was too much of a pain in the neck. But he is single cartridge. Now, this first assortment, here it says 88, so this probably means it came out in 89. The original RoboCop line wasn't very big. It was just RoboCop, Wheels Wilson, Birdman Barnes, Ace Jackson for the Ultra Police, and they had the Robo 1 car, and they had the Robocycle, which is a mediocre vehicle at best. It really doesn't have a really good way to hold on to it, I don't think. And I've seen pictures of it, and they kind of just straddle the thing. I mean, it might as well be like an automated robot at that point. It can't really hold a person. Then for the Vandals, you had Headhunter, who was the leader, and then Nitro. And then the only vehicle they had was the Skullhog, which, the reason why I'm splitting up my Vandals review today is because this is going to be a 2 review. It's going to be Headhunter and the Skullhog motorcycle, which was reduced quite a bit at a place called Pemida. I don't know if that was like a convenience store or wherever it came from. I have no idea, but they put a price sticker right over his face. And I tried to peel some of it off. Part of it had torn off already, so his face is there kind of. I was like, why'd you have to put it over the face? Why couldn't you, random store 30-something years ago, think about reviewers on YouTube? We have to make these boxes look presentable, and what do people do? We just stuck price reduction stickers all over it. How insensitive. I don't know if this part, I think this one's on there pretty good too. Yeah. So this is the Skullhog vehicle, which for those eagle-eyed toy connoisseurs will realize was reused later on in the Batman Dark Knight collection to make the Joker cycle. The entire cycle is the same. All they did was add a Joker head missile, so it's just the exact same bike. So if you want a different colored version of the bike, or maybe if you wanted to make an extra bike for one of the Vandals to ride, you can just find this missile loose and then get the Joker cycle, and then maybe just put that on there, maybe add some Vandal stickers, and then you get like a second motorcycle to run around. So we'll look at these together. So first we'll open up Headhunter. We'll look at his box a little bit. He also has a a sticker right over his face. From the Toy Works, he cost originally $7, and he was reduced to $3. So that's pretty cheap. According to this card, it says he's Headhunter figure, the Vandals leader, armed with a Magnum rifle and electro crowbar. 100 Robo-Caps are included, and we will try using those Robo-Caps today to see if they still work. On the back of the card, it says RoboCop and the Ultra Police are the ultimate in law enforcement. The best, most technically advanced police squad ever assembled to battle the world's worst criminals. The Vandals, led by the king of crime Headhunter and his evil henchman Nitro, are RoboCop and the Ultra Police's first job. And then their bios on these original things, it's all the card backs are the same, except for like how you... Actually, they all are the same. Oh yeah, because they don't have no real special accessories. They all have the same backpack cap thing. So these are all like the same card backs. All they did was just change the design on the front, but the back of it's pretty much the same. And what's interesting about this is that this card back, it's glossy on the front. Try to get some shot. It's glossy on the front, but when it comes to the back of it, it's almost like a matte cardboard. Like you can even see like the front shining with the camera light, but on the back it's not really doing anything. I don't know if they're all like that. I think it might be like that in the other ones, but I think that's interesting because a lot of card backs were always glossy on both sides, so I don't know why they went with that route. This says it says 1988, so it might have come out in '89 then. I'll know when I open the figure up. I'll look at his leg for the date. Yeah, so this is Headhunter. I wanted to get at least him because since he's the leader of the Vandals, I can get him and then I can get other Vandals later on. I'm trying not to get sucked into this line, but it is a lot of fun, and it's not a very big line. But right now, I'm holding off until I get the Robo Jailer for the Ultra Police to drive, and the and Toxic Waster for the Vandals. I'm going to keep it at that. That's what I'm saying right now. So what we'll do the patented cutting trick, which we always do, and not stand myself this time, like in the previous video, where I was literally doing it over. Like, despite that he's a little older, that cuts in the bubble in a horrible way. Despite that he's a little older than the other two, like Claw Callahan and Torpedo Thompson, his bubble seems a bit more sturdy. Because it also looks a bit more clear, so I don't know if he was in a better condition, or better position. It was like he was somewhere better. But I know the Claw Callahan and Torpedo Thompson, they must have hung out on the shelf at Toys R Us for quite a few years. Yeah, because his bubble's pretty much, it's still on there pretty nice. Like, it's a little turned. It's not in the best condition, but, it has the press sticker right on his face, which is annoying. But for the most part, he's in pretty good shape. So here is Headhunter. The internal bubble, that thing yellowed. That thing yellowed like crazy. The outside bubble didn't really yellow too much, which is interesting. So it must be different types of plastic. I like the grid pattern they have. Like, the packaging on this line is very fun. Like, it really stands out on the shelf, especially the boxes. Like, it has the black border, and there's the grid pattern going in. Show it's futuristic and stuff. So here's Headhunter. Put the Vandals tattoo on his arm. Like all RoboCop figures, he moves at his head. Got a good head sculpt. I like how he's got the wings, like the Reed Richards wings. Very punk attitude looking thing. And it's a backpack piece. Now, all the original Series 1, Series 2 guys have these backpacks. And then when you get the last assortment, the 1990 assortment, with like Claw Callahan, Torpedo Thompson, Scorcher, Toxic Waster, all those guys, they stopped having these caps. They put the cap features in guns, in their accessories, which I think is a better idea, because then the figures aren't just... Because if you look at this guy, like, this is like an integrated part of his body. Like, it's literally like he's a cyborg, but he's not. Like, the whole thing comes out. Like, it's a pretty complicated mechanism. I remember like I said, we had RoboCop as a kid, and you really don't really notice it. But when you look at one of these guys, you're like, oh my god. Like, even Ann Lewis, if you look at her, she doesn't have a very feminine body because she has this cap feature built into her. And he does have a socket on his leg to hold his electro crowbar, whatever that is. Got a gun on his hip, sculpted in, of course. And he's kind of wearing tights, which I think is funny. And then he's like little boots. Yeah, no, he's got some bullets on his vest. And he's got some bracers around his wrists. And the Vandal logo on his tattooed on his arm. Now, for his bio, before I bust out everything else, I need to read that. Let's see. Headhunter is the king of crime and leader of the Vandals. He doesn't think anybody can stop him with his magnum rifle and electro crowbar. So, let's see what an electro crowbar really is. It's funny, I thought the accessories were a little bit more gold until I actually got them out of the box here. They don't look as gold as I thought. Robo-Caps. Let's see how those work. There's his magnum rifle, which I guess means it's powerful like a magnum, but also a rifle. I have no idea. I think sometimes they just make up words. So this is something else you see a lot on old toys, depending on where they're stored. You see like gristle, like that stuff on there. I think it's just like somehow junk or dust that got blown in. Because a lot of times, like the packages aren't airtight, but they are to a degree. Sometimes, like right here, Like there's nothing sealed here. Like this little spot here is not sealed. I'm sorry, I can't see. Right under there, like right under that little corner piece, the bottom. I guess so air can get in there. So particles could have blown in. You gotta remember, this was from '89, so this thing's been stored. It bounced around owners for how many years? I don't know. It could have sat in this. The person I bought it from is the same guy who got I bought everybody all the other figures from. So all the figures I have now, with the exception of RoboCommand, RoboCop, came from the same seller. So how he acquired them, I don't know. So here's the electro crowbar. I don't know what. It looks like it broke. I mean, like it looks like he was trying to use it and then it busted or something. I don't really get it. It just seems like a weird accessory. He's supposed to hold it, and I don't. Did he hit somebody with it? I have no idea what this is for. But we can put it on his waist, as shown here, and you can see on the artwork for the skull hog he's got it on. So we just put it on like this. This pegs right into the hole. So he's got that. Weapon storage is a useful thing. So I always appreciate when toy lines put it in, even though they don't really need to. And then he's got his Magnum rifle, which is a futuristic-looking rifle of destruction, a very large magazine, and some sort of cannon on the top, and a nasty-looking butt. It almost reminds me of that gun they had in the RoboCop movie. I don't know. I have to watch the movie again to see if that's actually the same gun. So that's him holding it in his left hand. I'm going to hold it in his right hand. Make it look a little better on the right. Make it look more like he's pointing in the right direction. You can always kind of do something like this, where it's like, what are you doing? Always the problem with toys that have straight arms, or even bent ones, it always depends on how the hands are. They really should be facing straight, not kind of angled. Otherwise it makes it harder to get like a good pose going on it. Now, we can try working on some of those Robo-Caps. So we'll pop open Headhunter's back. Standing right there. And let's look at those instructions. Okay. Slide backpack up and drop open. I guess these don't want to use a period. Drop open, remove, and discard glue section of new roll of caps. Insert length of caps into slot underneath. Close backpack and slide it down to lock it closed position. Adjust caps up or down if necessary. Pull trigger to fire. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. So here's Headhunter ready to bust a cap in somebody's butt, as they say. Okay, so there's a little. Oh, I see. Okay. So I'll just kind of just rip from here. Discard that. How did it go in? Okay, so it goes in. It just chills out over there, I guess. I don't even remember if we ever did this when we were kids. Like, I don't really had RoboCop. We didn't have a lot of dudes. We didn't have like a bunch of guys to do this with, really. Oh, it goes through it? Oh, okay, it goes underneath. Okay. I was watching a reviewer here on YouTube review the Gatling Blaster RoboCop, and that looks like a crazy thing because the backpack has a crank and pom-pom cannons. It looks insane. His name, I forget his name, but if you Google RoboCop Gatling Blaster RoboCop here on YouTube, you'll see it. Okay, so let's see. Put it in, lock it down. Let's give it a try. Oh, there you go. See smoke? There you go, those caps are going. Well, they still work. You can see the smoke coming out too. Well, that's an old smell. But yeah, this things still work. Almost a cap in you, literally. That blurred out the whole roll. Stop. That's it. So, look at it. Yeah, no, they work. They work just good. That's pretty nice. So, for those of you who want to know, do vintage Robo-Caps still work 30-something years later? The answer is, you bet your ass they do. Because I'm Headhunter. I'll mess you up. I don't look like Robert De Niro. So, yeah. Cool. I'm totally going to try the caps with... We will do a follow-up video on everybody later on. And we'll totally check out the caps on Claw Callahan and Torpedo Thompson and see how those work. They will not be as rapid fire. They'll shoot a missile, and then the thing will go and do its thing. So that's really awesome. I'm so excited. That's fun. And it's so awesome that they actually gave you a bunch, too. So and that's another rare thing in this line is they actually did sell Robo-Caps in like a little carton. So you could buy original vintage Robo-Caps. But even nowadays, I don't really know if they make caps anymore. I'm trying to think. I don't think they do. So it'd be really good to make sure you just don't go crazy. I mean, I used a bunch. I might even just, let's see. You gotta save them, man. These are vintage. Let's just save those ones. These ones all. But yeah, it worked fine. It's so cool. Good job, Kenner, making toys that last.